Hello, welcome to my video about Chopin's Ballade number 3 in A flat major, opus 47. The piece written in the best period of Chopin's life, the best period of his productivity, of his inspiration. He wrote a lot of music during these years when he was with George Sound. He was spending time in Nohant, in the countryside, a beautiful, wonderful place in France. He was inspired, and he had time to compose. So he had space, he had time, and he just wanted to compose. And he composed, among other fantastic masterpieces, this wonderful Ballade number 3. If you watched my other videos about Ballad number 1 and number 2, which I made just weeks ago, you know, you remember what I was talking about, that the Ballad is a story. That the Ballad, all the ballads were inspired by poets and their way of telling stories about some magic world, some heroes from another world that are not existing now, and so on. Definitely this Ballade number 3 is very different from the previous two. The character is different, and also there is no drama, so we are not that much afraid. In the first ballad was very dramatic, but was also rather sad. The second ballad was extremely dramatic, and this one is not. So the story is about something else. If I compare this ballad to other three, I have to say that it's in my opinion, the most demanding from the musical point of view for the pianist. The most demanding because of its construction, because of its philosophy which is inside, and because of how complicated it really actually is. And most of all, because there is not only one way of understanding this piece, if I can say so. And today I will try to explain it to you. I will try to explain it to you in as simple words as it is possible, without going deeply into the harmonic structure, the tonality too much, because of course we should do it also, but maybe that's a topic for another video, which is more for musicians. Today I want to explain this, my view, for everybody, so you don't have to be a musician if you want to enjoy this video. I hope, and I hope I will succeed, even though it's extremely difficult, as I said, because this is the most complicated ballad from all four when it comes to the structure, because this is what I want to. Well, the story has always some kind of structure, so we have to follow this structure. We have to try to understand what is this story about, but in my opinion, without getting too deeply to some literatic images. But this is the question now. Why I say, maybe you don't agree with me when I say it's the most difficult from all four. Most people say that number 4 is the most difficult, but the problem is that, well, the thing is that number 4 is easier to explain and understand when it comes to the story and the structure than this one. And to prove my words, I just read for you a little bit from the whole text. You can find on the National Chopin Institute website. There is the whole text about this ballad and other ballads as well. And Professor Mieczysław Tomaszewski, a great Polish musicologist and Chopinologist, we can say, he described this ballad, but he's also writing about other musicologists' way of seeing this ballad. And this is very interesting because every musicologist, there are many different theories about this piece. So I just read it for you for some of them. Robert Schumann was captivated by the very breath of poetry emanating from this ballad. I agree with this. Friedrich Nietzsche heard it in a quiver of excitement. Insinuation and persuasion cannot be more irresistible, he wrote. Grace and affection more seductive. In the opinion of Jan Kleczyński, Polish musicologist, in his opinion, it's the third ballad that is evidently inspired by Adam Mickiewicz's tale of Undine. That passionate theme is in the spirit of the song Rusałka, which comes from this Undine Mickiewicz's ballad. So as you can see, they connect. Mickiewicz works with this. A different source is referred to Zygmunt Noskowski, another Polish musicologist and composer. Those close and contemporary to Chopin maintained that this ballad was supposed to represent Heinrich Heine's Tale of the Lorelei, a supposition that may well be credited when one listens attentively to that wonderful rolling melody full of charm, alluring and coquettish. Such was surely the song of the enchantress on the banks of the river Rhine. Well, do you know the story of Lorelei by Heinrich Heine? It's the story of this Undine on the rock, big rock in the river of Rhine, and she was singing a beautiful song, and the sailors were listening to her, and then they died in the water because they just stopped focusing on where they are going. Well, actually, I just read it for you not to make your imagination work, because this is not my goal and I don't want you to do it. Of course, if you want, no problem. But I know that for sure that Chopin avoided any kind of programmatic music. He didn't like it. He never wrote a piece which was a kind of connected with some, literally connected with some work of any poet. He wrote music which was to be just a music. Of course, not music about nothing, because his music also brings us a lot of emotions and also stories, but we can say pure music. But definitely there is a story, and this is what I decided to do. When I was analyzing this ballad, and it took me a lot of time, I must tell you, because it's really complicated. And one day you have this idea, another day another idea. I'm talking now about this piece. Then another idea, then you have to mix these ideas. Then another idea came, everything is destroyed. Then you decide, and then you think, and then you analyze, and then you contemplate. And I have to say, it was extremely hard. It still is, because this is a process. But now I have a very clear idea of the structure and the story which Chopin tried to achieve. And I want to share it with you. So when I discovered what I discovered and what I want to share with you now, I felt shocked. I was captivated by the genius of Chopin, of the way he constructed this piece. There is no other piece which I know, and I know quite a lot of pieces of music, which is constructed like this. So it's a completely innovative and in a way shocking way of creating a piece. But of course, when you write a ballad, you are free, because it's up to you what the story will be like. So let's start. I played for you at the beginning the first part of this ballad, which we can call the first theme. And let's just analyze this first theme now. The first theme starts, we immediately start the theme, so there is no introduction. We start the theme, which is based on a scale going up, 6 notes. And then 2 notes down. We should separate these 2 motifs. So 6 up and then 2 down. These 2 notes are quite important. And then another voice is answering. With the scale going down. And then the first motif is repeated in the bass. And then there is the end of the phrase. Very simple. And then this should be continued, should be continuated, just like in Ballad number 1 or Ballad number 2, when the first theme is long, when we have a very long story based on the same material. But here it's not. It disappears. It disappears. The only thing which will stay and which will become very important are those 2 notes which were at the beginning. These 2 notes. Now these 2 notes, they will be a contradiction to some kind of signal which we will hear now. So now we hear a kind of signal. Be alert, something is going on. Right? So, and then 2 notes, and again, and again. And from this moment, we will hear these 2 notes obsessively repeated every bar for 16 times. And this is something extremely important, and the listener should really understand it and absorb it, because it should come deeply inside. This is the continuation of the story. So let's listen to this. And I try to now underline and take out these two notes. Continuation, also two notes. Until here, this is the end of the next part. So what we heard this left hand with two notes, two notes, two notes. Of course, it depends on the pianist, because the pianist can also show you the right hand. But I don't want to. The thing is that I think that there is no beautiful melody here. And it's interesting because it's not because Chopin doesn't know how to write beautiful melodies, of course. Come on, it's Opus 47. We know a lot of fantastic melodies written by Chopin up till now. So the thing is that he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to. Instead, he writes some kind of... Is it a melody? I wouldn't call it melody. I mean, I wouldn't call it a Chopin's melody. So when I was thinking and analyzing this, I was thinking, oh, is it really... Well, I don't think he really wanted this melody to be so important. And we have on the left hand, in the left hand, we have these two notes. They are very important also later in the piece. So that's why I think we should take them up. And then after this part, we have the next part, which is absolutely unbelievable. We have again the signal. Excuse me. Again, be alert. Like we had at the beginning, we had this up, down, and two notes. Here we have the same thing, but you know, it's like before it was naked, and now Chopin is putting a lot of beautiful flowers around it. He's making it more beautiful. How? Alert. And then these two naked notes will not be naked anymore. They will dress beautifully with flowers. And look at the first note, because the naked notes will sound like this. So it should be like this. And so on. But we don't have it. We have it like this. And now absolutely unbelievable way of variation. The first note is variated with the trill, and the second note is variated with the arpeggio. So fantastic, isn't it? And then and repeat it again. And then Chopin liked this variation so much that he is repeating it. And now we go to heaven. We go to heaven, and on the bass line we have a beautiful melody in the left hand. And now, finally, we are back at the beginning. And then from here, the bass line, which before just played. Now the bass line will go. So will go on short journey through 4 different keys and building a kind of tension. And then everything will finish also in this part of the keyboard, so very high. And then the bass line will end the whole part A, the whole first theme. Let's listen to this journey of the bass with 4 different keys. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now, again the first theme. And the end. And until now everything is okay. Okay, everything is like in the ballad. We have the story, a very typical story about something. There are some changes, there is something a little mysterious. These 2 notes are quite mysterious, but we are captivated by this story. Now the second theme comes. Let's listen to a little bit to the second theme first and then talk about it. Okay, enough for now. Later I'll play the whole second theme. How many melodies did we hear? Only one? I think more. There are 2 different melodies which are inside part theme. But theme 2, sorry. Inside the second part. Inside this part B, theme, the second theme. Everything starts only with 2 notes, right? So again, these 2 notes, they are here. And the beginning is also based on these 2 notes, but what we hear, what kind of theme we hear the very strange theme, which is not a long, beautiful Chopin's melody, but is 1 note, silence, 1 note, silence. It's like somebody, I don't know, some young girl is walking in the field full of flowers and is singing, just singing like oh, and then something la 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 la, right? I mean, this is like very simple, extremely simple, not opera, typical Chopin's beautiful melodies. Very simple melody which brings us quite good mood, and it's in the major key. So we are smiling and we are just enjoying this theme. The theme is also based on the scale. Which makes us think that it might be connected with the first theme, because first theme was the scale going up. Here we have scale going down. It might be one of the interpretations, which I will tell about it later. But now let's focus on this second theme itself. So we have a very strange separated melody, and after this melody, the second melody comes when Chopin is changing the key to minor, so sad, darker. And the second melody, which is very important, is also based on the scale, but it's not separated anymore, so it's a longer line. How sounds the second melody? Just listen. This is the, well, that's the melody. It's short, but it's different. It's in minor. Before we had major. Major. Okay, and the idea of the second theme is that we have the major melody, like melody number 1, then minor melody, melody number 2, and then major melody comes again, but in minor, and then again the second melody comes in the original minor key, but forte fortissimo loud. So we reach the first climax of this ballad. It's not very dramatic, because not a drama is the most important in this story, but it's just in its full power. And after that we will have something else, some kind of material taken from the themes, but something different, which is just a kind of, we can call it some kind of bridge, musical bridge, which brings us back to the second theme, the beginning of the second theme. So again, the first melody, the first major melody, and this first major melody will finish the whole part of the second theme. So now I play it for you, the whole part of second theme. Second melody. First melody in minor. That's second melody. Next part, bridge. First melody. And this is the end. Now comes another part. We change the color, but I will talk about it a little later. So this is the second theme, and we can say it's a little similar constructed, the similar way like the first theme, when we started and we finished with the same thing. So we had like something closed. Here is the same. Just one more thing I wanted to point out, that when the first melody comes again, well, if we didn't know that it's the first melody, maybe we wouldn't recognize it because it's very different, but it's still the same. Let's compare those two ways of presenting the first melody of the second theme. The first time is in the major. Very nice. The second time, when it comes in minor, it's not the same melody. I mean, it is the same melody, but we have it in minor, so it's different. And then, yes, so this is part B, then the second theme. And now, after that, we have something completely different. We have a new music, and we have very important moment in the story. Because, well, let's call it part C. This part C is very different. It has only a little short motif taken from the first theme, but it's completely new material, and in my opinion, and it seems that it's the most important part of this ballad. There is no more important part in this ballad than this moment. So when I play it, I always think about bringing it out in such a special way that for the audience and the listeners it will also make the impression that, oh, now there is something really important, and to make it in such a way that they will not forget this part, because they must not. And later I will tell you why. But now I just play for you. I play for you the whole part C. And after part C, we should have theme 1. Because we had theme 1, theme 2, and now we have something else, and then we should go back to theme 1. And there are many Chopin's pieces and also other composers' pieces created in such a way. But not this ballad, because the story is different. So there will be no theme 1 after this. Let's listen to this whole fantastic moment. This is the end. And then what do we have here? Second theme again, the theme number 2. Theme number 1 is missing. What happened? It got lost. Well, this is the story. Theme number 1 got lost. We can't find it. Where is it? Well, seriously, it got lost, so it's very strange. Let's analyze a little bit this part. The beginning of this fantastic, beautiful part C. For me, it's like we have many flowers flourishing, or we have one flower which opens. You know, like on this video taken in for a long time, and then we watch it in a very fast tempo how the beautiful flower opens. Here is exactly, and in the left hand, 1, 2. Do you remember at the beginning this signal, and then here is the same but upside down. So these two notes are bringing us some memory of the theme too, and they are very important. They happen here 4 times, and then so, and again another flower, and again these 2 notes. Again. The second part of this part is a dance, when the left hand is playing almost like a waltz, maybe. If Chopin wrote like this, then we have a waltz. So but definitely it's a kind of dancing, very light, maybe some elves, you know, something. Here we reach the sostenuto. Sostenuto means lower, and we have, excuse me, we have the motif of 4 notes going down. So Chopin is already thinking about connecting this part to the second theme. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. And in this way we are not surprised that we are back in the second theme. But where is theme 1? No, nowhere. Okay, what will happen now in the story? Second theme comes, but in a different key. Now second theme comes in the major, in the main key of this ballad, so A flat major. So we are like at home. And we will have exactly the same structure like before. The first melody in major, the second melody in minor. Except the second melody will have a very different character. Then after that we will have again the first melody in minor like before, but in the left hand this time. And afterwards we will have the second melody in minor, but in the climax, much faster and much more virtuoso. And this will bring us to the next part. I want to play it for you now, the whole second theme group, let's say, and I want you to focus on the character of the second theme, of the second melody in minor. Just to remind, the first time when it happened, it sounded like this. Now, the melody will be exactly the same. What will change is the left hand, which brings us in a completely different mood. Just listen only this second melody. So the left hand some kind of wind, maybe a blow of wind. We are somewhere where there is no light, and we are a little scared, and everything is very mysterious. Okay, so now let's listen to the whole part of this second theme, which will bring us to the big climax of the second theme. second melody. First melody in minor. And second melody. Of this next part. So as you could hear, the last appearance of the second melody is quite demanding for a pianist. It's the most demanding part for the pianist in the whole ballad. And in my opinion, Chopin did it on purpose. He was thinking, but he didn't think about showing off the technique. He didn't think about making it difficult. He wanted us to struggle because he wanted to achieve this kind of character, of mood is a better word. The mood of struggling, but the mood also of a little bit kind of, struggle, maybe drama, but I don't really feel drama here so much. Definitely there's some kind of desperation in the second theme here. Let's listen again to the second, the first melody for the second time, and then the second melody for the second time. Everything goes down, everything quiets a little bit, and now we have another part of story. But still, where is this first theme? We don't know. Maybe the second theme was so desperate because he can't find the first theme. The first theme got lost. The first theme is lost, and this is my main point which helps me understanding this ballad. So you just wait for the end, because the end is spectacular. What we will have now, left hand just gives us the character, the mood. What is this? We are in the cave, we are under the ground, well, it's dark, we are afraid. Mysterious. This is the background of the story which will happen. And now what we will have here is incredible. Well, let me first describe what will happen until the end, and then I will play it for you until the end. On this background, which I just played for you, we will hear, at first we will hear theme, second theme, theme number 2, the first melody. So this one. When it goes down from this note, suddenly we will hear the first theme, the beginning. So you just focus on this scale going up. 1, ta, 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 ta. Yes, you will hear it here, connected with the second theme. So they are absolutely now connected. The first theme is back, is found, but well, it's not yet found, but it will soon be found. But we already can hear the first theme, and all this will appear 4 times. And from the fourth time, it will start to grow. So the first theme at first will be very far away. So we are not sure if is it first theme or not, but it will bring us, it will get closer to us until finally it will appear again. And it will appear with such an, what the word is, like a triumph, ecstasy of happiness that finally I am back. And this is incredible because we were waiting for this first theme from the very beginning. And the composer knew that our subconscious will wait for this theme. So this is the reason why when it appears finally, we feel astonished as listeners because we realized that this was something missing. With something missing, we didn't know what. And then this was something that we were missing for all the piece. And the first theme with ecstasy will be so happy to be back in a full power. So this theme will be in its full power. You will hear it, of course, and it should be finished. This first theme should finish the whole ballad. It should. But then it won't. After the first theme, something very, very strange will happen. Something that gave me a lot of trouble to understand the whole ballad. For quite a long time, I didn't have a slightest idea why the hell Chopin didn't finish the ballad with the theme number 1. That should be normal. That should be obvious. He should do it. Well, he doesn't, but I will not tell you what will happen. I hope you will catch it. What kind of music we have in the end after the ecstatic appearance of the first theme. So let's listen to the whole thing. First, the second theme connected with the first theme 4 times. Then ecstasy of the first theme, and then the end of the whole piece. First theme. Second. First theme. First. Second. First. First theme now. Isn't it strange? Well, when we hear it just like we without thinking, of course it's normal. It's the climax, 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 everything is building up and then it's finishing with a powerful virtuoso way and we want to just clap ecstatically. But from the compositional point of view, it's extremely strange. as I said before, the first theme will not finish the piece, and what will appear at the very end is, yes, it's part C. Maybe you catch it, maybe you caught it. Part C. So what I said before in this lecture, this is the most important part, which when I play, I try to make it sound important. I try to make it sound the way that people will not forget it, because they must remember it when it appears again at the end of the piece. In its original version, it sounds like this. Yes, and at the end, the same. And now, as I told you, this made me understand the whole ballad, but after thinking quite for a long time. And now my idea of this piece, of the way how I understand it, is, as I said before, this part C is the most important. Why? Because that made me think, when it came at the end, it means it's the most important for me, I think, because if it were not important, Chopin would never get back to this. There is no reason why it should be back. But well, there must be a reason. So what I was thinking is that, as I said before to you, the first theme got lost, disappeared, maybe it was kidnapped, I don't know. Do it, think what you want. But it got lost, and the second theme appeared 2 times with 2 different melodies. Then there was no first theme, but instead we had part C, and part C is a symbol of something or somebody. Brought, I don't know, brought from heaven to earth. I'm talking now about the ballad, about the story. Brought down to help with looking for the theme number 1. Maybe it sounds funny, but for me it makes a lot of sense musically. So this very special person, very special music is helping with finding theme number 1. Without it, we would never found theme number 1. So when the second theme is looking for theme number 1, in this very special moment when the left hand is going here, maybe it's under the ground, and the second theme there is a first sign that somewhere far away I hear there is somewhere there is a first theme. Yes. Second time, closer. First. Third time, and then fourth time it brings us to it's very close. And the first theme appears. Should be the end here, and it will be a fantastic end. We could clap, but no, because this theme taken from heaven to earth to help finding the theme number 1 finished its job. It finished its mission, so it has to go back. It has to appear again, just to say goodbye. I did my job. I go, and that's why we have at the end. Excuse me. And because of that, I think this is one of the greatest masterpieces written for piano, definitely. And that Chopin was extremely inspired, and he reached the top of the genius, I would say. But of course, it's not the only way how we can interpret this ballad. There are many different ways of how we can do it. Another way is, for example, as I told you before, when we think that Chopin is showing us immediately two themes. First one with the scale going down, and then second with the scale going up, down. And what happens later is only taken from these short motifs. But for me, well, there are also many other ways, but I think this video would be too long if I started to analyze every possible way of understanding the piece. But this is the beauty of music, is that everybody can understand it the way they want. And well, my goal is just to show you my way, and to most of all to tell you in simple words how it's written, because I know that for most of music lovers it's quite difficult to get it just by listening. Of course you get the beauty, but when you go deeper, then you can understand more. And I hope now you understand more, and you will listen to this ballad in a different way. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again. Bye bye.